Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Coming up.
If you're worrying as a referee about being marked down for that instead of using your personality and common sense, football's gone.
For me, that's what undermines the league. That's a manufactured, engineered form of, in inverted commas, entertainment. That's not sport. It's not sport. I don't know what it is, but it's not sport.
Do you go back?
Depends what for.
Right, welcome to Whistleblowers. As usual, the three main protagonists are here: Mark Clattenburg, Ian Ladyman, and me, Gordon Smart. I was going to start today by talking about a friend of the podcast, Dan French. Right, he's a brand expert, and I mentioned in passing as we left last week that he'd been employed to work on Cole Palmer's trademark. It's all about being calm and composed under pressure. So I wondered, Ian Ladyman and Mark Clattenburg, if you were to trademark your, what they call in business, your USP, what would it be, and what's your thing?
Somebody once said to me that I even look grumpy when I walk. Good friend of mine, Rowan Williamson, who's the top dog at the Athletic these days, said to me, probably you later, was it? You've even got a grumpy walk.
Are you one of the? You're the golfer that stands leaning on his club, tapping his foot, and
well, I was once accused of slow playing golf, so I can't. Claim I shouldn't go down that avenue.
So grumpiness,
but grumpy walk. Can you trademark a grumpy walk? Probably.
Yeah, there we go. Ian Ladyman's US. What about you, Mark? I was going to suggest. I hope you don't mind, but you've got to get into the fake tan business.
No, it's not the fake tan. I thought it was going to be the fashion.
Yeah.
New outfit again. You
Could
know,
be.
every
Is
time
it another new outfit? It's a lovely bit of
they
suede.
they like a bit of suede to come back in. You see,
you cannot get any kind of liquid on that, Mark.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you don't think he's got 6? He's only going to work.
As I hit Dublin this weekend, I can't get any Guinness. I can't get any Guinness on it.
He's only going to wear it once anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
He only wears it when the box fresh. You know, when we sat down, there was a first today.
Really?
There was a first. You missed it. You were rushing in and setting yourself down. He actually complimented me on what I was wearing.
He did actually. No, I did hear it.
That is a first.
What did you call it? The zip top.
Is it a 3/4?
And then he
zip?
said to me, "I'd wear that."
Yeah.
I'd wear that
underneath the coat
in bed.
So yeah, maybe.
What about you? What are you going to trademark?
Frustration. I would trademark a frustrated man.
Penury.
Yeah,
Penury. You trademark that.
Absolutely brilliant. Right, boys, let's get started because we normally start with fashion, and it's not a fashion
anyway,
podcast.
you mentioned Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Do you not find this really interesting? I think this is quite a big deal because incidentally, he played last night. They should have brought him on earlier. I don't know if he's got carrying some kind of injury, but he made the difference when he came on, I thought. But he does have that extra second on the ball, Cole Palmer, doesn't he? Yeah,
there were two things. One strange footage I saw of him leaving the ground, wearing a on foot. So obviously there was people there with the mobile phones, wearing like a mask, like a COVID mask. Not quite sure what, in the rain, not sure why. But two things I thought from the game, the Arsenal-Chelsea game, getting fascinated by Rossignol, the Chelsea manager. Strange character.
Curious boy, isn't he?
So two things last night. First one, he presents himself as a bit of a bright guy, and I think he's a bright guy as a philosopher. And yet, before the game, he sat footage before the game. He's standing on the side of the pitch watching the teams warm up, and the Arsenal boys, being at home, just start taking liberties and start coming over the halfway line and warming up in the Chelsea half. No idea whether it was deliberate or not. He's not having it. He just looks at him. He's like, "Get in your own fucking half."
Really?
And they don't do it, and he's like, "Getting you," and that's the other side of him. I quite like that. But then there was a bit of footage later on, right? I don't know if I was talking to Mark about this before we started. Don't know if you've ever seen that social media kind of montage of coaches who have been great players. So say Ancelotti, Alonso, Mark Hughes,
Pochettino,
for example, standing on the touchline watching their teams. And the ball, a stray ball comes off the pitch, and they just trap it, like super cool, like in the Brogues. Yeah. Last night, ball drops from the sky for Rossignol. Doesn't even take his hands out of his pockets. Goes to do the old,
shouldn't it?
20 yards away it went, about 20 yards away. Yeah.
Did that ever happen to you, Mark? When you
get a yellow card for delaying the
restart? When you've had to take a touch at any point, and it's...
Oh, I'm terrible. I'm a failed footballer now. So if I tried to do that, it would just fly off my leg. But it just shows how good these people are. You know, when you say they trap the ball, don't they?
Yeah.
And everybody says, try and do that.
Oh, I love it.
Just awesome.
It's always my dream at a game when the ball comes into the crowd, and I've always just wanted a really powerful defensive header.
Like,
Give it
have
a
it, son.
yeah.
Have it.
Have you ever touched the ball in the crowd? I never have. All the
Never.
thousands of
Never.
games I've called, I've never touched the ball in the crowd. The best one, I think, of what we're talking about is there is one out there, if you Google it, of Mark Hughes and Mark Bowen, his assistant at Stoke. Ball comes off the pitch, and I think Bowen, obviously, he was a decent player himself, played for Wales and Norwich and some other clubs, controls it on the full, does a keep it up, then passes it to Hughes, who's in his suit. Hughes takes it on his knee, drops it onto his instep, and just volleys it back to the bloke who's waiting to take the throw in. It's just absolutely fantastic.
You made me think as well. I used to love it when players would be paraded, particularly at Real Madrid, where they'd have to do keepy-uppies.
I was at the Beckham one.
Were you at the Beckham one?
In fact, I couldn't get in to the Beckham one. I was there.
I was going to ask.
Couldn't get accredited.
Amazing.
Couldn't get accredited for the David Beckham unveiling at Real Madrid. We did loads of other stuff around it. I was there for a week. At least all the newspapers sent, obviously, for that when it went from United to Madrid in 2023, whenever it was. I couldn't get accredited.
I never asked this question, Mark, but see, when you were taken to Saudi Arabia, was there a round of press or anything like that you had to do, sort of an announcement that you were on?
What was that?
What did you
do?
do?
It was an unveiling. It was at a flyover, and it was the Federation's conference.
Yeah.
They wanted us there that day.
Yeah.
It had to be unveiled at that time. I remember having to tell UEFA in the Premier League that it was that time so they could get their press ready.
Yeah.
I'm not being rude, but did anybody turn up?
No, can you get accredited? You are being rude.
I could say one man and his dog, but I was one man and a man dressed in a robe.
One man and his camel.
So seriously, was it well attended by the media, your unveiling?
It was a few for some, because it was quite a big thing at the time, wasn't it? I'm not trying to be big-headed when I say that. It was just unusual for somebody to leave the Premier League to go to Saudi, which wasn't a big league then. Had the money, but it certainly wasn't a big league there. There was no big stars then. So it was like a huge thing. Me leaving in my prime, just after refereeing the Champions League and Euro final, to go to Saudi. So Saudi were huge in getting us. And the Premier League.
What questions did he get asked?
What was that?
What questions did he get asked?
I can't remember the interpreter giving.
Where'd you get your clothes?
Arabic.
Yeah.
Where did he get?
How much would it cost?
How much am I earning?
Yeah.
How much am I usual? How much am I earning? Why did I come here?
Yeah.
Would you get used to their lifestyle and culture? 6 prayer times.
What did you say to Adam Lallana on the pitch?
Yeah.
Talk about mentioned the managers. You said, Rossini get booked for leaving his technical area. Then what about the David Moyes thing?
Oh, that's brilliant! I love this.
What utter bollocks, isn't it?
I mean, do you see his press conference?
Are we now losing the actual enjoyment of the Premier League? Where are we not going to see another one of them Mourinho sliding or Di Canio in the derby against
Brian
Newcastle
Kidd,
sliding
Man United on the pitch, one of my favourites of all time.
Are we talking now?
You know
are we
what,
getting now
See how much it means to them.
I didn't even know it was a rule.
It is if you leave your technical area.
What, even to celebrate
a goal?
Yeah, you're not supposed to. However,
Come on.
are we now like the score deep in injury time at Brighton?
It's not like he ran over to the home fans, goading them. He just did a little jig.
Fair play
See, that
Moyes
years-
for
I
standing
think-
up to it, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I just think now it's interesting. I think it's easier for referees now. Wrongly, but it's easier because I've got these cards in the pocket. Years ago, we couldn't caution or send off managers.
Right.
We never give them yellow cards. This is only a new thing. And I think it's an easy target now to give a manager a yellow card, where years ago, what you had 2 options. 1, you give them a talking to, or 2, you binned them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have binned them for that, so it would be just a talking to. I think it's an easy option now.
Yeah.
Would the referee have felt, I can't think of the right word, and I can't, so I'll just say what's in my head. Would the referee have felt a bit of a dick doing that, thinking, I've got to do this, but
No, he doesn't be a dick. Huh? You can use common sense.
Well, would he not get marked down for that, though?
What for?
For not implementing the rules?
That's the worry then. If you're worrying as a referee about being marked down for that instead of using your personality and common sense, football's gone.
I don't think I can remember, though, in 30 or 40 years, a manager ever speaking like that in a press conference. Ever. Can you?
So you're referring to, because obviously
Just
loads of people would have seen the Sky interview, but in the media press conference, he really went to town on it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And but in a very kind of rational, common sense way.
And he swore 3 or 4 times as well, in a really normal, natural way. I think he's won a lot of football fans over with that.
Now, before we hear some more of Mark and Ian's thoughts, we're in partnership with Wix Trade Pro, and for any tradespeople out there, this one is for you.
That's right, because Wix Trade Pro is here to save you time and money.
Save 10% every time you shop in-store or online. There's no minimum spend, no hassle, just savings.
Amazing. And what's more, Wix Trade Pro want you to start the new year off right.
That's why they've introduced Smart Water, the award-winning forensic marking technology that's proven to deter tool thieves and make your gear traceable and recoverable. And all it takes is 3 simple steps.
That's right. First, mark your tools with the applicator and solution provided. Then place the deterrent signage on windows and doors before registering your marked tools so they can be identified. If only VAR made things that easy.
You're telling me.
To sign up and start saving, just download the Wix Trade Pro app today.
Right, boys. We are going to start by talking about refereeing, Mark, because, and again, this is Rodri having a moan, and he's done it before. You mentioned Scotland, I don't know if you remember the Rodri's tears stuff, when Scotland beat Spain at Hampden, and he had a real moan about it, saying we didn't play football. Sorry about that, Rodri. He's done it again, hasn't he? It was a bit of a capitulation by City against Spurs, and he said, I know we won too much, and the people, they don't want us to win, but the referees have to be neutral. For me, honestly, it's not fair. And again, in terms, Ian, to you first, is that like a gross misconduct? Is that a fine? Is that an FA fine? Because you're basically calling the referees
It's a fine and a ban.
disciplinary
For me,
isn't it? Yeah. And he's their best player. Stupid.
He's a. I mean, it doesn't matter, but the fact is, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. He's highly decorated footballer of experience in the Premier League, and no matter his frustration, which I understand, the first Tottenham goal against City, Solanke clearly kicks the back of Mark Gay's leg. It's clearly a foul. It's not given. I don't know why, but you cannot. You can say anything, but you can call a referee. You can say a referee is no good at his job. You can call him unfit. You can call him fat. Call him what you want, but you can't call him biased. As far as I'm concerned, because once you do that, then we are in trouble.
Different game, aren't we?
He hasn't just questioned the referee's integrity. He said it. He's basically said they're giving decisions against us on purpose. You can't do that.
And I should, Mark, before we get your thoughts on this, it's not just one throwaway quote, is it? He really went to town. He said it's a clear foul in the first action, the goal. It's a clear foul, and VAR is there for a reason. It's one game, another game, and another game. It's not possible. I never speak about referees. I respect the job massively, but they have to pay attention to these things. If it's not just today, it's 2-3 games in a row. The reality is we need to be fair in these situations. And he goes on to say it again, it's not just one, because everyone can make a mistake. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. It's not possible. I'm not saying the level of referees here is bad. It's great, but we have to pay attention. So, Mark, what do you make of it?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's been going on for a few weeks. I think there was a Newcastle situation in the Carabao Cup where Haaland was judged to be offside. There's other situations.
There was a terrible foul on Foden at St James's Park in a league game. Yeah.
I slightly disagree with Ian saying it was a clear foul. I believe it's a foul. And I believe Solanke catches Gay in the back of the leg. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really difficult decision for the referee. Really difficult
in the moment,
in the moment, because you think that the attacker's touched Solanke's got the ball. And I don't believe, and I still don't believe, VAR should get involved in them situations. I think if we're going to go down this route of micro-examining everything, the game's finished. And I think we've got to move away from this. That's a referee's call. That should always stay on the pitch. That's not what VAR was meant for. That's not a one that I would have argued with. Mm-hmm. I think the Haaland one, the Foden one, they're the ones that you get upset about. They're the ones you can get upset.
And they're still wound up about the Dallo on Doku in the derby, aren't they? But that's by the by. Yeah. You still can't call a referee but biased.
Certainly can't. And I find that strange. And he's an international player. He's been around the block. What I find strange in that, and I've never heard this about English referees before, because when I've travelled the world, they love English referees. Yeah. When I went inside countries that are difficult, you're Turkish, you're Greeks, any countries that have that type of background, when you see an English referee coming in, they're so happy because they feel that it's 50-50. Even though he might make mistakes, they know you're fair.
Yeah.
You might be incompetent, but you're fair.
Yeah.
For him to say that, not to say, I can get if he said referees are poor now in the Premier League. We can accept if he says they're poor. But to say they're not fair is saying that they're cheats.
And does that not in itself, among the refereeing community, because there is such a thing as subconscious bias. So
I never had that.
surely the referees are now going to look at City and think, "Oh, fuck you."
Is there a bigger thing, Ian, though, in the media,
know?
do you think,
There's
about Man City because of everything that's hanging over them?
What do you mean, bigger thing in the media?
Oh, is there a bigger thing because of this situation about the court cases and everything that's hanging over them,
No.
about the legal bill? Is there a bigger picture for
No,
City?
but it's because they're not winning.
Yeah.
They're not. When they were successful, sorry, Ian, when they were successful, they had other mistakes from referees before. I've made mistakes when Man City was successful, but they didn't make a big thing of it because they won the league. They won everything. It seems now that they want to highlight something because they're not playing very
See, I get
well.
the feeling City fans feel a little bit embattled and emboldened.
Well,
at the
they
moment
do.
by that,
City
don't they?
fans think the world's against them.
They do, don't they?
City
There's a
fans
real
think-
narrative there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
think
my
that-
God,
they
let's
think
get the violin out.
Well, they-
I'm sorry.
They used to think the UEFA are against them because UEFA
Through the
preferred
Champions
people to
League.
charge them, and now they think the Premier League's against them because we've had charges.
No referees.
there. They think the media, but then they're not. To be fair, they're not the only set of supporters to think the media are against them. Every set of supporters thinks the media are against them. But yeah, there is a little bit of that. But I don't think this works in their favour. I think this gives an impression to there will be a group of referees who will be feeling offended on behalf of I can't remember who the match referee was.
PGMOL.
No, sorry, who the referee was.
Oh,
at
the
weekend.
referee was it Rob Jones?
Anyway, whoever it was, they'll be feeling offended on his behalf. They'll be thinking that football club think that we are biased against them. And I'm sorry, but those referees will now carry that onto the
But
pitch.
City have had this for years because I remember.
They've got to play Liverpool on
big game.
Sunday.
But they've always
What
been like
happen-
this.
What happens if there's a big decision at Anfield on Sunday? Are you telling me that's not going to be in the referee's mind? What Rodri's just said about them?
Man City have been like this for years. I remember doing a game at Bolton and I cautioned Craig Bellamy for dissent. And Craig Bellamy, I could have sent him off for what he said. It was horrible. But in the end, I managed him and I thought, you know what, I don't want to make, at that time, I didn't want to make the talking point. I gave him a yellow card. I remember coming out of coaching staff down the tunnel after half time. And I said to the coaching staff, how would you put up with him on a week-to-week basis? If he's abusing me like this, he's got no respect for me, how would you manage him on the training ground? Like, just have a conversation. I got reported and it was in the media the next day. So they've been against, they think the world's against them. It wasn't me highlight. All I was trying to be was human and say, how do you manage him? Because I would love to know how to manage him.
Yeah.
And they used everything against
I
them.
don't think City particularly have had an issue with referees historically.
One other thing, after watching the game, before we knew about the press conference, I was thinking about what we'd be discussing from that game, and I actually thought Rodri could have been sent off.
Should have said 2 yellow cards.
Because that was the question I would have had for you as a referee. I thought there were 2 bookable offences. So he's had a pop at the referee, when in fact he could arguably have been sent off. And I think he was pretty lucky, actually.
You can argue the second yellow was a second yellow, but I can understand why the referee didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get lucky, could have been sent off, and you got lucky in the game. Why?
Pipe down.
Why? He's probably upset at the time, isn't he? That they were leading 2-0 comfortably before half time. There's a very subjective call to make it 2-1, but they conceded a 2-2. That was bad defending for the second goal,
And also,
but they don't want to blame themselves, do they?
Also, who at Manchester City has been, in the last few weeks, has been the loudest voice about referees?
Pep.
So you're telling me that Rodri's not taking the lead from his manager, which just shows that's why managers got to be careful what they say, because the world is listening and their own players are listening as well.
That's a good point.
If Pep doesn't say what he said, no way Rodri says what he said. Yeah. He's taken his lead from his manager, I'm afraid.
Tell you what, it's been a great week for Arsenal, though, hasn't it? A bad week for City, really, if you think about it, and Villa actually, because they all dropped points.
Absolutely. I was just talking to Mark before you arrived, actually, Gordon, very quickly. I watched a bit of the Arsenal-Leeds game. Arsenal beat them 4-0. So I think now that we've got to a situation with Arsenal corners or set pieces, where it's got into everyone else's head. There's almost like a psychological thing now. Johnny Farker, the Leeds manager, admitted after the game that he told his team, don't concede any corners. Can't go into a football match thinking that, okay? Johnny Farker should be saying, this is how you defend Arsenal's corners, guys, okay? They're just corners. People have been taking them for 150 years. They're just corners. The second goal, the one that's the own goal, the keeper basically drops it in his own net, okay? I watched it, match today, some excellent analysis by Shay Given around that. But when that ball comes in, the 5 nearest players to the ball at the near post are all Leeds players.
Yeah.
Right? There were 2 Arsenal players on the scene, Saliba and Zubimendi. Neither of them are particularly near the ball. Neither of them have even got off the ground. That situation, just catch the ball.
And also, they're not really imposing players, are they?
But because there's such a panic now around Arsenal corners, but then even when there is no danger, there's danger. The Leeds defenders panic. The goalkeeper ends up getting in the way of his centre off and drops it in his own goal.
Does Arteta deserve some praise for that?
He does.
It's a set piece coach, isn't he?
But equally, there is time, as we saw in the Chelsea Arsenal game, where in the Carabao Cup, where Rossini is telling his players to clear the box. So the Arsenal players have also got to clear the box, less traffic in the box. Coaches in the Premier League have got to stop worrying about Arsenal set pieces and whether it's fair and whether it's legal and work out a way of defending them and do their jobs. But it's interesting.
I agree with you.
How difficult is it to referee corners?
Horrific.
Because I think that's...
It was worse without VAR.
The dark arts, you know?
It was worse without VAR.
Impossible now.
Because there was a lot of blocking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and it's still tactics, isn't it? Where an attacker will go into the space deliberately to block the defender's space from attacking the ball. That's been going on for years. And it's what level you punish. Same holding. There's always grappling. Yeah. All of that's been around for years. I just think corners now becoming the focus because probably in my time we never saw many set-piece goals from corners because defenders were that good at it. I think now because of this influx of set-piece coaches, we're now seeing more balls going into the penalty area. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to have a look at the statistics, but it seems when I'm watching football at the moment, I'm seeing less short corners.
Yeah.
It seems more inside. And you know what? It'll be great. This will be great as well. I'm hearing IFAB, which is the lawmakers with FIFA, are talking about implementing what I've been talking about for years, where
give a corner
if the goalkeeper's taking too long on a goal kick. This will be even more powerful now because teams are getting so good at corners. The goalkeepers are going to be under huge pressure.
Yeah. I think back to when I played, I used to take corners, but we always had it set up where stand on the goalkeeper and make his life a misery, just get in the way. And it looks like that's how Arsenal set it up now.
You know what they used to do to Jens Lehmann, the Arsenal goalkeeper? Players used to stand on his feet. Yeah. And they used to put the boot. So he couldn't move, and B, was in the process of arguing when the ball was coming in, and he'd lost his focus.
I mean, I'll be clear about it from my point of view, and I have been for the last couple of years as it's been on the rise. I mean, it's a lot of what Arsenal do is illegal, and to me, is illegal.
Illegal.
Yeah, people don't agree. Blocking, all the rest of it. When you're nowhere near the ball, to me, it's just obstruction, it's fouling, but it's a thing. It's not going to stop, and you now have a situation where. To answer your question of Mark, how do you referee it? It's impossible because everybody's fouling each other now. Both sides are fouling each other.
I disagree with you. There is a way to stop it.
Oh.
There's a group of referees.
There's a way to stop it. The referees can stop it.
I told you one of the tactics that happened in Bayern Munich, Barcelona, many, many years ago. It happened 6 times in the first leg. I didn't know about it. Kalina told us about it, ready for the second leg. Yeah. And I stopped it after 13 minutes.
So
nobody knew, but I stopped it because the players went, if he knows that tactic, then... he's not going to solve.
Which particular thing would you pick up then? Would you give a yellow card for that?
No.
Is it just
I wouldn't even do it. And it irritates me when referees blow the whistle, they go in and they come back out and do nothing about it. That's rubbish referee. For me, I'd just be talking to the players all the time and say, guys, even before the corners coming in, I'd be hovering saying, if you want to do it, I'm going to punish it. It's up to you because I know about it.
Yeah.
Because my analysis, I used to do a lot of analysis before the games. And people say, well, you shouldn't preempt things. You shouldn't prejudge. Absolute garbage. You didn't prejudge a player in giving a yellow card because you don't know what's going to happen. But for me, about players' tactics, it was huge in trying to solve it because if referees, and I've saw this many, many times during this season, the offside, where defenders, and it happened with Andy Robertson at Liverpool Man City, they're deliberately coming out slowly. They're not making a movement away. They're just standing around, hoping that the referee will give the goal. And Andy Robertson's was disallowed, in my opinion, correctly. But it's happening more and more. And if you punish it more and more, what will happen? The set-piece coaches will look for another way. Let them decide which way. But referees need to punish the tactics. So could you look at
specific players then, right? So you mentioned Jens Lehmann as an example. Would you look at a defender and how he physically, John Terry, for instance?
You look for the blocks. Right. You're looking for the blocker. For example, that Bayern Munich-Barcelona game. What they did, they used Thiago, who's the smallest Bayern Munich player. Bear in mind, they had Lewandowski, Muller, Boateng, all of these big players. And what they were doing on the Barcelona team, Barcelona were renowned for small players, didn't they? Alba, Mascherano. They only had one player, Piqué. And what did they do? They put Thiago on Piqué every time. Why? Wasn't that Thiago was going to jump and compete against Piqué? One reason only, to block, to create the space for the big guys to come in. It was obvious. And the minute you punish it, and the players go, and I remember that time, just very quickly, I remember giving the free kick, right? And the players are looking at me going, wow, this bloke knows what he's doing. And the minute they stopped doing everything, so it made my job easy as a referee, because they're thinking, what's the point? Because he knows it. The problem now is players are getting, and tactics now are becoming so important in games, and the referees aren't solving it.
Is this because of set piece coaches then? Because Villa have done that
Massive.
quite well, haven't they? So it is a new it feels to me like a new part. I mean, it's always part of the game.
Yeah.
But it seems so strategic now, doesn't it?
All the kind of holding and blocking is relatively new. All I would say is this. There's a rule in football about obstruction, okay? You're only allowed to really, aren't you, get your body in the way of an opponent if you're within touching distance of the ball. Yeah. So I don't know why that doesn't apply at a corner. And what I would say is this. If it's a goal kick, and say they were taking I know you don't see many of them now, but if you're taking a long goal kick up the field, right, and you've got two players grappling with each other in the centre circle, waiting for a goal kick to arrive, the referee will give a foul. They'll give a foul. Why don't they give fouls in the penalty? It's become subconsciously acceptable in the penalty area. When, as far as I'm concerned,
it's such a contentious foul as well, isn't it?
It's just
to defend of the striker, who's leaning into, who's backing into who.
That's right.
But you're right. It's always a contentious decision, isn't it?
It's becoming accepted. It's damaging the game. It's not attractive to watch.
Yeah.
And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's illegal.
It's interesting because if you watch Champions League and the viewers watch Champions League football compared to the Premier League, it's completely different.
Yeah.
You're allowed, and Anthony Gordon made a great point in his press conference before the Paris Saint-Germain game last week. Same comments, and it's obvious. You get more time to play. It's more direct balls into the penalty area.
Yeah.
We're getting obsessed, and I agree with Ian. The whole game's getting. We're obsessed with Pep Guardiola, the style of football. We're now getting obsessed with Arsenal's style of play.
And it'd be interesting whether it impacts on Arsenal's attempts to win the Champions League, we're not falling into that trap which some people are saying that Arsenal don't know how to play football, because they do.
No,
they can score goals from open play, of course they can, but they do rely on set pieces. We know that their XG from set pieces is enormous. Will referees allow them to do it in the later stage of the Champions League? Probably not.
Stoke had it as well, though. Let's not make it out that it's some kind of
Rory Delap.
Rory Delap. Danny Higginbottom, Ryan Shawcross.
Yeah. But I know we've got to move on to other topics. But Stoke didn't have it with the same level of. They weren't coaching players how to foul at corners, and that's what Arsenal do, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
that's what Arsenal do.
I agree.
Right, talking about another, I think, an unsavoury part of football was Ronaldo's failed strike in Saudi Arabia. And I don't know what you made of this one, Mark. I know you've got a lot of experience there, but if you're not familiar with the story, he went on strike ahead of Al Nasser's game against Al Riyadh. That was on Monday. They won 1-0 in the end. But, I mean, going on strike in Saudi Arabia, I don't really understand the politics of it. But what's your take on it, Mark? Because, again, as a reminder, he earns £488,000 per day, Ronaldo. He's 40 now, highest paid footballer in history, clearly. But he wasn't happy with the Newcastle owners, the equivalent, isn't it? The Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund.
Slightly owned by the government, isn't it? So let's be honest.
Yeah.
This fund that's being created is the Saudi government, and I think I quite like this in a way. I quite like this, in a way that Ronaldo's standing up for what he believes, because it's not money, because he could stay there and earn more money. So this isn't about money. This is about something that's happening within the kingdom. And he believes that there's an unfair advantage to one of his rivals, which is Hilal. If anybody that doesn't understand Saudi football, there's two big sides in Riyadh and two big sides in Jeddah. Hilal in Nasser, Ali and Etihad in Jeddah. So these are the four big clubs that are controlled by the PIF.
So that's just to interrupt. That's the equivalent of the British government owning 75% of Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, and Tottenham, and everyone expecting it to be a fair league.
Correct. So that's a good point. So what you've got is you've got this. This isn't new. This is what they've done is created another level of, like, what do we say? We can't say funding. It's just another level of protection, because I remember being inside in 2016 to 2018, and I saw when Al-Shabaab were challenging the big four for dominance, what did they do? Turki Al-Sheikh, who was the head of the sport at the time, now he's head of entertainment, as you would see in the boxing. He was more involved in the football. And what did they do? They took the striker who was scoring a lot of goals for Shabab and took him out of Shabab and put him in one of the big sides. But that's exactly what's happening. So one side of it is not surprised. I'm surprised why Cristiano Ronaldo is saying it now when it's been going on for 10 years. So it's not new. It's happened so many times that a player like Benzema is left Al Ahly to go to Al Hilal, who aren't as dominant in the title race this year as they have been in the past. There's a little bit more work to be done to win the title. So what do? Take one of the best players in the world and put him into...
So he's been moved from one government-owned club to another government-owned club to help the second club. Yes. I mean, that to me, Mark, putting a Ronaldo thing, we'll return to Ronaldo in a minute, put it to one side, guys. To me, that's what undermines the league. People will say, and if you look down the list of players who are playing there now, it grows all the time, and there is some real quality there. And it's not doesn't just have that retirement home feel to it anymore. There are some younger players of real quality there as well. But to me, what we are talking about now just undermines the whole thing. That isn't sport. That's a manufactured, engineered form of, in inverted commas, entertainment. I mean, it simply is. You've got 4 teams who are being directly influenced by the government, funded by the government. Players been moved between them so that one team doesn't get too far ahead of the other. I mean, that's just not sport.
And according to Benzema, he wasn't getting paid either.
You work there, Mark. That's not sport. That's not sport. I don't know what it is, but it's not sport.
But it was always when I was in there that the power of the big sides who are owned by the government, people high in government or highly influential people within Saudi Arabia, and it was the pressure put that to maybe Turki Al-Sheikh or to people in the Saudi Federation to make these players transfer between each other to make one team win.
Did it feel like a level playing field when you were there?
It was never. And that's why it was great. Why they brought VAR that was probably one of the big, because I brought VAR into Saudi, and that created, between the big sides, it caused a little bit of, in my belief, a little bit of animosity.
Why?
So it was a semi-final, and we were in, I remember the team now, Al Fatah. And they were playing Al Hilal, Ali from Jeddah in a semi-final of the Cup. And there was a ball potentially over the line or not. The assistant didn't flag it. He wasn't Saudi, he was foreign. Didn't flag it. I understood why. It was a really tight call. But in VAR, they could prove that the ball was in. And the smaller team got to the final because of that decision. That never happened before because they expected the big sides to play in the final. So there was a belief. People believed that they could have a level playing field. But there was never a level playing field with the people who were making the transfers between the clubs that were together and saying, well, look, I'm going to take your best player and put him in my team. And that's why I believe Saudi football has never grown. Yes, you can plough a load of money into it, but they're not powerful in Asian football. For example, they're not winning the Champions League on a regular basis. It's interesting that the crowds, other than the big four, there's nothing. Like if you look at the average attendances at some of the clubs, 3,000, 2,000. And even Nasser, who have a 25,000-seater stadium, average attendance this year, 20. It's not filling on a week-to-week
Ronaldo's
basis.
not won a trophy there yet, has he?
No,
that's
and I think that's the way he's won. He's won. He won one, didn't he? The Arab Club Champions Cup, whatever that is.
Who cares about that?
But I think, to your point, Gordon, I think that's what will be nagging him as well.
Yeah.
That when he went there, he was, for want of a better phrase, I think he expected the whole of Saudi football to revolve around him. Now it's growing to a degree where there are other big names there as well. He's not won anything, like you say, of note. His team didn't even qualify for the top tier of the Asian Champions League this time around. They did qualify for the second tier. And what will be bugging him is that we know why he's playing. He wants to get to 1,000 goals.
He does, yeah.
Right? He's on 961. Now, you can look at it two ways. You can either say that 39 goals isn't very many, or you can say it's quite a lot. It's a season's work at least, and he's 40.
At least.
So that will be massively in his mind. He'll be thinking, how am I getting to that number if they keep selling my best teammates to somebody else?
Yeah.
So he'll definitely be thinking that, I'm sure.
But you've just list off that Al Nassr have won nothing.
Yeah.
So it's never changed in God knows how many years, even before my time in 2017. Al Nassr have won very little. So what does he expect? I think you're right. I think he's obsessed with the numbers. And will he get them numbers in the MLS? Will he get them numbers? Because certainly in Europe, he wouldn't get them numbers in the top leagues. There is a league out there that's probably a little bit easier to get his numbers.
Yeah. Which is probably why he signed a new deal, because he signed a new contract relatively recently.
The thing is, that he's reaching that age, I think there's a form to everything he does, that he gets towards this stage of his sort of tenure at every club and starts to be a pest.
I'm amazed that he stayed as long as he had.
Yeah.
When he went there, I said he'd last the season. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm amazed he stayed as long as he has.
Yeah.
And I think there's the numbers are important. You hit the nail on the head, but there's another part of this as well. Saudi there'll be a lot of things going on with this because Saudi won the World Cup and they need a face of the World Cup. Messi said for many times he's refused even huge sums of numbers to go, surprise, surprise, to Hilal. And he's never took that offer and probably won't. There's only one face of football at the moment, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo.
Although Salah will be huge for them.
Did the government ever say
Salah will
Salah would be.
The best African football in the world, would be enormous for Saudi.
So imagine if he goes to Al Ahly.
Yeah.
But I just think they need faces for the World Cup. They don't want. They're plowing out huge sums of money into football, and they need the rewards, and they need that figure.
They've already got their face for the World Cup. It's our old mate Infantino. They've already got their face. They don't need anyone else. They don't need he's the biggest ally in world football.
Did you ever feel government pressure when you were in that position, refereeing, given the state that they had in those clubs?
Well, first, I was only in a few months, and I'm trying to develop the Saudi referees. Now, I remember I was on holiday because I was allowed a week off a month, and in that week I was in Dubai, and I took a phone call on this was on the Wednesday. And I was going back in on the Friday ahead of the weekend's matches, and I was told that there was no Saudis to referee. It all had to be foreign. And I'm like, I can't make that happen in 2 days. The following week, everything, the government, Turki Al-Sheikh said, every referee has to be foreign. And that's what happened. It used to cost them $150,000 a week.
Why did they want
Because they believed that the Saudi referees were not there. And we saw that, and I don't know the ins and outs. All I know was I was told that I had to appoint a Saudi referee to the cup final to show the people and the Saudi people that it can happen. I appointed Fahad Al-Madasi to the match, and the night before the game, I'm taking a phone call from the president. Find a referee because he's suspended. I said, suspended for what? Match fixing. He lost his World Cup place in 2018, and I couldn't find a referee. I ended up having to referee the cup final.
Did you?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
I had to referee the cup final because A, we couldn't get a referee at the last moment, and B, and there was an argument that he took some land off one of the presidents of the clubs to build a house or whatever the accusations were, and it was.
Were you ready to do that then? Were you ready just to get the boots on and get out there?
I just had to stroll out. I was getting paid, wasn't I? But it was like, even when I remember going to a hotel, I remember going to the Four Seasons Hotel, one of the best hotels in Riyadh.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, it's all boarded up, locked up. And through all of the government, all the people who were maybe whatever was happening in the government, they just put a load of people in and started like acting as a prison, so they couldn't get out. Even the guy who owns Halal, he was in there, and you're thinking, wow, they can just do this. I just remember going. I remember going to the airport. I had a multi-visa in and out. Because if you didn't, you had to have permission to leave. And I had a multi-visa. But every time I used to present my passport to get out of Saudi Arabia and Arabia, I used to have a sweat. I was shaking, just in case they stopped us, you know.
That's kind of the modern equivalent of the old Tano announcement at half-time. Do we have a qualified referee in the state?
Did you ever do one of those games? Have you ever been at a game?
No, I haven't actually.
They've pulled the ref out of the crowd. It's happened quite a few times.
No, that's what I mean.
But
this time they just pulled the ref out of the
you
top of the
think everything's prepared. I remember getting a phone call. I'm in Dammam. I've just refereed a match. I'd give all my referee's kit to my driver to take back to Riyadh because I was going to Dubai for the weekend for
eBay
to catch up with some friends. All I had was some shorts and t-shirts because the weather was incredible, and it was like December time.
Yeah,
I'm in the Dammam airport. I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning flight. Midnight, I get a phone call. Any chance you could go to China to referee the cup final on Sunday? I went, yeah, but I've got a problem.
How much?
I went, I've got a problem. I've got a problem. A, I've got no kit, and B, I've got no clothes.
But how much?
Don't know. Don't worry. We'll sort it out. You know what the temperature was? You know what the temperature was? -3.
No.
And I've got shorts and t-shirts.
It's going to say referee the game on a Newcastle strip.
3 days. Wait, sorry. From refereeing a game on the Friday night, I'm in Beijing on the Saturday night. Sunday night, I'm refereeing the cup final.
So you did 2 big cup finals at short notice, one in Saudi, one in China. How would you rate your performances in those 2 games?
Outstanding.
Do you know, in all seriousness, right, when you're given a challenge or a task to find top officials to manage a game with 3 days' notice, who are you picking the phone up to? And may I add, I'm available.
No, because
Ian's going to run the line.
Just to let the viewers know, because there's always been a speculation how much referees were getting in Saudi. I was paying them $3,500 cash. That's what they used to get cash
per game.
The referees would get the $3,500
plus expenses. So if you flew in,
so they flew business class in, no expenses. They got fed, watered, put in nice hotels, business class flights. But it's interesting. It was so difficult. I remember a story. Now I'm in the offices of the federation, and we've got Al Nasser against Al Hilal, big match. So they want a big leveled referee. So I'm bringing I think it was Sven Moyen in from Norway, and it was a disaster. So they said this was on the Thursday. The match was due to be played on the Saturday. We're moving the game 24 hours to Sunday. When that impacts everything. A, the flights. B, the referee can't make it he needs to be home on the Sunday. So all of this impact, and I said, no, it's going to be difficult. No, we're definitely playing it on the Sunday. An hour later, no, we're not playing it on the Sunday. We're going to play it on the Monday. I had to move I had to move match officials around again, trying to get a high-level referee for this game because I knew how political and how difficult the match would be. And I moved it back again for the Saturday, all in the space of 24 hours. So I'm juggling all these appointments around and international flights. And in the end, said, this is the name for the referee. Oh, we're not accepting that. Not high level enough. And I remember ringing Rafshan from Uzbekistan, who was one of the elite referees in world football at the time. And I'm begging him on the phone, please come. I'll even put a private jet to get you. And it was, at one point, we didn't have his visa, we didn't have his flight, but I told him to go to the airport. There's going to be a flight, there'll be a Turkish airline flight, Istanbul. He landed on the morning of the game, all because they wouldn't accept certain, that level of referee. They wanted elite of the elite.
No way he was doing that for $3,000.
I had to pay him a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was so, even if I give names and I said, this referee's going to referee this game, they didn't say, we want this referee, but they needed the elite of the elite of the elite.
Move on. I know Gordon wants to move on to something else. But what kind of life do the top players have over there? What do they do?
It's different now.
You
I think it's more open. It's more, I lived in a compound. It's more open now than it's ever been.
Okay.
You know, it was very restricted when I was there. For example, you went in, you couldn't go into a restaurant. There was 2 doors in a restaurant. I remember getting shouted at the first time I ever went into a restaurant because I'd gone in the family side and that was only for women or families. If you were a single man, you had to go in the opposite way, and it was all, couldn't see anybody, so you had to go in a certain side of the restaurant, and you couldn't see a woman or a family. And the other thing is you could be going into a restaurant and the prayer time, you were obsessed with the prayer times. That's all you had on your mobile phone was the prayer times. Because if you didn't get into a restaurant or fill your car or go to the bank or do normal things, everything shuts down. So you would have to wait 45 minutes.
But how many times a day is that? How many times a day?
Six prayer times a day, yeah. So it was really restricted for a European. And even though I lived on a compound, my car got checked underneath every day, went through 2 checkpoints every day to get into my compound. All of these was just normal way of life. And players, some players lived on the compounds. Some, they live with their families. It's quite, inside the compounds, it's like being on holiday. The swimming pools, people have got bikinis, people have got swim shorts, people are swimming. But outside, complete different world. Complete different world. But it's changing a lot now.
Would you go back?
Me? Depends what for. No. I think because the life was, when I left Saudi to go to China, for example, it was so, you realise how much restriction there was. Not just alcohol, to have a beer or whatever. It was just normal, where you're so used to European life and not having restrictions, not going.
Do you have any good memory? What was your happiest memory there? What was the best thing that happened?
In Saudi?
Yeah.
First paycheck. No, I'm only joking. It was, there was some good, I enjoyed some games. I enjoyed being there. I met some great people, some challenges, huge challenges, like, for example, getting VAR in. So difficult. It's so, even though they've got so much money, they never think on their feet. To buy a cable from there to there took 6 weeks. They couldn't get it right. It's just really difficult. But I remember the situation where I refereed a cup match, and they were wanting to have a 15-minute break because the prayer time was about to happen. And I said, no, we're not doing that, because players might be, they might, cool down. It's not right for players to have a 15-minute break. We'll go in extra time and I'll stop the game. And I stopped the game for a minute so players could pray on the pitch. They prayed for the minute. I restarted the game, finished the match, and the media, the world press and the Asian press, or the Arabic press, went crazy, thinking what a brilliant thing that a European person had stopped the game in the middle of the game to allow players to pray. And the president got big praise, I got big praise, and it helped me certainly to be accepted more in the Arabic world, that I actually respected their culture.
In terms of lifestyle, when we were in Qatar for the World Cup, in Doha for the World Cup, I remember going there literally thinking on the plane, having a drink on the plane, think I will not drink again now for 5 weeks. That turned out to absolute nonsense. You could drink all the time in Doha in the Western hotels. Different in Saudi. So when you were there, I mean, honest answer, were you able to get, because everyone needs to kind of relax, some downtime. Were you able to get a beer at all, or did you have to rely on that week that you had in Dubai every month?
There was home brew. That was always the thing with the expats. The home brew. So they mixed it. So they would you could buy the ingredients and they would put it in a water bottle and stuff, and they would ferment it for a month. I remember the first time I tasted it, I fell asleep on the sofa fully clothed.
But did you make it?
No, I didn't. Somebody else did. But it was interesting because you could go to the embassy once a month.
Right.
The embassy had, the expats would go for meetings, and you could have a kind of Heineken, for example. So diplomats could bring alcohol in, but we couldn't. But that wasn't the issue. That never really bothered us, even though I do like a beer. It didn't really affect us. But one of the funniest moments I ever had was anybody that's been to Riyadh and wants to fly back to London, normally you fly the British Airways, and it's normally 1 o'clock in the morning. So that the airport's dry anyways, the lounges are dry. Most people who are leaving Riyadh are wanting the beer because I haven't had one for a while. And I remember sitting on the plane. I'd done it many, many times. And the crew got to know you because it was the same type of crew. And the girl said to us, "It's your lucky night." But when she said it's your lucky night, not because she's wanting me personally, that means that it's the shorter way out of Riyadh. Because if you go Riyadh to Jeddah, it's about an hour before you hit the Red Sea. And you've got to leave the kingdom's airspace before they can serve alcohol. Basically, it's the case they have to come back in and they've opened the seals of the things. So we were going out towards Q8, which is only 35 minutes. And I remember sitting there thinking, when we took off, nobody's watching any movies. They're all watching the moving map.
They're watching the clock.
And I wish I'd put it on my phone because it was the most surreal moment of my life, sitting on this plane that's pitch black. Everybody's got the moving maps on.
Waiting for the 35.
And the moment that aircraft got into the sea, it was like bingo. Ding, 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 ding. All these lights where people were pressing the call bells to get a bit of alcohol.
Were you flying Geordie Airlines?
It was incredible.
I've just had Will, our producer, in my ear. I'm just going to say to you what he said to me, which is, get him to tell the phone charger story.
Oh, yeah, so quick,
So
very
tell the
quick,
phone
so
charger
very
story.
quickly. So we brought, I was the one that introduced VAR into Saudi Arabia. That was one of the big things that we did. It was really difficult, really, really difficult thing to do. I could tell you a lot of stories what happened, but one story that sits out. I was in the Tribune, the stands, watching the referee, and he was foreign. It was Simon Marciniak, who'd refereed the last World Cup in Qatar. And it was him and his team, and there was a penalty call in the game, and this review was going on a bit too long, and I'm getting a bit nervous as the head of referee, and I know the backlash towards us. I'm thinking, God, Simon Marciniak's one of the best referees in the world. Come on, what's going on? Why is there a delay? Next thing I know, I see the operator of Hawkeye, who was the company that did the technology for the VAR, and the VAR running across the pitch. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? They run up the steps of the stand, and they're not far from us, and they run and pull the mobile phone charger out. I'm thinking, what's going on here? At the end of the match, I asked what had happened, why the VAR had gone down for maybe 10 minutes. The game had to be held up for 10 minutes. What the problem was. And one of the club officials from the Combe club had actually unplugged the power out of the socket and put his mobile phone charger in. And didn't think for 10 minutes there was going to be an issue.
Oh my God.
So we ended up...
Oh my God.
Yeah, we ended up with a 10-minute delay because one of the Saudi owners of the club decided he wanted to unplug
Charge his phone. Right, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ian. Please get in touch with us. You can just email us, is probably the best way. Send us some questions for the bonus ball if you don't mind. We would appreciate that. Whistleblowers@dailymail.com. All that remains is for Mark Clattenburg with a forgotten whistle to pull proceedings to a close. Thank you very much for watching Whistleblowers. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, episodes every Thursday and Tuesday, and on a Sunday, you'll get our clip of the week.